April 16th, 2026 here, and the maximum temperature is 101 today. It's getting hotter, and the low is 72, right now 75 in Celsius, right now 24. The high is 38, the low 22. Day 4 yesterday, Ajay, he is overseer from Kanpur, and he came to know this truth either 2006 or 2008. I'm not really sure. I forgot, but either of these years. And he came with 7 youth, young people, age 18, one of them, and 22, 24, 25. One perhaps is 30 plus. And Ajay himself is either 36 or 38 years old. And he came to know the truth in Kanpur, and they had overseer, the main overseer who brought the truth was Bhupender, and from 2002 he began to go, or 2000, year 2000, around there, and then 2002 or 3 he met Tiwari, and that was also that God got Tiwari to follow him. Not that Bhupender made him to come to him. So 4 years Bhupender visited Kanpur and nothing really happened. Just like Glenna prayer sharing that Bhupender, the 4th year, he prayed to God. This was his last time going to Kanpur. I have wasted my 3 years, and this was my last time visiting Kanpur. If you don't give me that one person who would believe and really walk with God in the truth, I would no longer go back to Kanpur. So he spoke that to God. The thing was, for the first 3 or 4 years, he was trying hard. He was working hard to get the work going. He spoke to, I'm sure, hundreds of people, Christians and non-Christians. And finally, he said to God, I'm sure he might have prayed like that before, but this time he was really meant it. So this last visit that he was saying, ultimatum to God, he was invited to a Christian pastor's gathering, invited by one of his cousins who wanted Bhupender to change his doctrine. He believed that Bhupender was having wrong doctrine. Jesus is not God. They believe Jesus is God, and so forth. And so Bhupender, with good intention, thinking, joined that gathering. But they conspired to get him to change his doctrine and accept their doctrine. They believed that their doctrine was right, and to help Bhupender. So during this meeting, Bhupender let everybody talk, and he said that at the end I will respond. So he heard from one pastor, second pastor, third, fourth, fifth, like that. At the end, it was his turn, and he said, okay, this is my turn to speak. So he started speaking, but certain one interjected, didn't let Bhupender to speak. So Bhupender said, okay, if that's the case, he was not interested to continue, and he left this gathering, and he was walking back to where he stayed in Kanpur. Tiwari followed him and caught up with Bhupinder, and he said that, I want to know your contact details, and he wanted to meet him. And he said that he was not thinking to ask his Bhupinder's contact detail because they would not give me. So Tiwari was from Hindu background, convert to Christianity. So after that, Bhupinder and Tiwari started to meet with each other, and so Tiwari was able to receive the good words, right doctrine, which Bhupinder communicated, and through him the outreach began, more laborers and so forth. And meanwhile, Ajay, at that time 16 years or 18 years, around that age, he also came, and more youth joined. So Ajay joined, and Kanpur side, they continued with the doctrine wise to study the Bible and teach from the scripture, that way. Initially, like Book of Acts, the outreach took place in Jerusalem and in the Jewish area, Israel's area. Only the Judeans, Israelites, became believers. Initially, they were walking by the Spirit, and many were added and so forth. But later on, legalism and that side became stronger. Then Saul and Paul, and Gentile outreach started to really take off. So something like that, the outreach and growth in Kanpur kind of stagnated or stopped because of certain doctrinal thing. One thing was, what they practiced was that they didn't think that new believer can immediately take off with God. Take off with God means be led by God, and they would be strong and as Christ, although as Christ needs a lot of instructions. And when they are ready, then they can start their fellowship and so forth and so forth. So outreach kind of slowed down and stopped. While in other areas, they moved with the change, walk by the Spirit, speak by the Spirit, no longer do the teaching of what previously we have done from the Bible. Let us go to Matthew and so forth, like that, and classes. To that you are ready. God will give you words, and you can right away heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, and so forth and so forth. God gives you the words to speak and so forth. So Kanpur area didn't move with this new side. New. So Ajay was in that old pattern. However, he was doing his best in that old doctrine, held fellowship every week, and he encouraged then his leaders at different areas. He would visit, encourage, and so forth. But he realized that growth is not taking place. It just stayed still. And signs, miracles, wonders also were not really taking place frequently. Earlier, there were many at the beginning. And he also noticed from Facebook of the leaders in other areas that rapid outreach was taking place. And many are being added and so forth. So he earnestly prayed to God, and God showed him to visit Delhi leader. And in 2021, that is like 18 or 20 years later, since he became a believer, he visited my home. So he was ready. So God sent me the ready person, ready, really dedicated individual who would totally accept, receive gladly the doctrine, the things that I was going to share. So he came with that kind of heart, the clean slate, and he heard me say that I am an airport, like a parable or something like that. So I am an airport and God is the control tower. And he will send me the ones that was hungry and thirsting, labor kind of person, ready person. God knows who they are, and God brings to my airport that airplane. So that's the picture. So he listened to that, and also I spoke about doing the things that God inspires you to do, like you came here. You do that. So I shared with him these few things, and he went back to Kanpur, and God's strong inspiration to him was that he would stop all of his previous activities, like having his fellowship at his home and visiting other areas, because he heard me say that I am an airport and he is also an airport and God is the control tower. He will send the airplane, the laborers, the one that I want to receive. So he stopped his fellowship and told the believers who came, and many of the believers that was coming, like a fellowship, and he had 40 or 50 people coming to his fellowship, and he shared with me that each time that he was having a burden, it was that he has to prepare teaching. So he would prepare, go to the Bible, and then prepare his teaching, and then he would teach from the Bible, and many of them who came would be sleeping. He had to do a lot of effort to do this fellowship. So he stopped this fellowship and visiting fellowships and told them that whoever would like to come see me, they're welcome. Just let me know when you will come, how many persons will come, and so forth. So he dropped everything of the past and began totally fresh with God. And he didn't know who would come, who would not come, what would be happening. Then he saw that young, really interested people, 7 of them, and there are more, but these ones started to come to his home. And he would share the same thing. You are the airport. God is a control tower. And also do what God puts in your heart. And speak by the Spirit, not with the Bible. And they were also happy about that. And these ones that God brought, the youth, young people, through them quickly outreach began. Not only in Kanpur, but in several districts and some other states. Also, he shared about honoring God before it was tithes and offering. But this time he also received from me that you sow the seed that God inspires you to sow. Because God is the one who gives the sower seed for sowing. So God knows exactly how much, what's the proportion or how much to sow. And also God knows the best field, fertile field. So God will show you where to sow those seed. So he shared these things also. And these several young leaders, they gladly received these things and began to practice. And they prosper. Since 2021 and then 26, so in this past years, that outreach is even going into Nepal, in other states, and many leaders' meetings are taking place. The leaders meeting with this doctrine, walking by the Spirit, speaking by the Spirit. Not only Ajay began leaders meeting, one leaders meeting. Now Ajay's leaders are doing their leaders meeting. Not only Ajay's like 12, Jesus is 12, and then 70. So now the 70, their leaders meetings are going on. So it's just moving forward because Ajay got them to be led by God. He reconciled them to God and to be led by God. So each person goes to God and move with that inspiration, and God's really bringing to them such as should be saved. So there were no argument with the individual that come, try to convince them to believe this way, that way. But truly God sending the ones who believe gladly. We are the airport and God is the control tower, and we are expecting God to send the laborers to his airport. So day before yesterday, these 7 plus Ajay, so 8 of them. Many signs of miracles, testimonies. Healing of the sick, devil spirit being cast out. One of them shared about he lived in this village where many were possessed. And certain haunted area. Nobody would go after a certain time. And even the police and these people don't even go after a certain time. And he himself was afraid of these evil spirits. But he came to know that he has been given the power and authority far above all principalities and powers and might and dominion and so forth at the right hand of God. And the devil spirits are under his feet. And encouragement from Ajay to practice. He got everyone not to depend upon Ajay, but to depend upon God, and also encourage them to practice right away. Not the previous way that he was taught. They have to take some time to be ready. The doctrine became like that earlier. Even the laborers came, they became sitters, not the ones who would right away run with it. With the right doctrine, the laborers right away to take off the encouragement. So I think Surjit is that young man in whose village so many devil spirits possessing the village people, also haunted house. So God gave him an opportunity to cast out devils, and he practiced, and then he saw that they obey and the evil spirits depart, leave. So testimony. So that village person, whoever, got healed, delivered from the evil spirit oppression. That was a testimony. The other village people see that person's life transformed, that no longer she or he was suffering. So the more came to Sujit, the young man, and then got healed. And the haunted house, no longer devil spirit stays, they run away. So transition of doctrine, Ajay in 2021, and began to do what God puts in his heart to do. Inspiration. He executed that. He didn't think, oh, if I stop the fellowship, then what happens? But he did that, executed what God put in him to do. To some person, it may be different, but to Ajay was that. To do what God put in his heart was to drop all these activities that he did for many years, and to say, whoever wants to come see me, you are welcome. Then the activation, the new plants, new seed, new plants and fruit began to come and multiply, and he's very, very happy, blessed, thankful to God that this was what he wanted to do all the time. And since his young age, he didn't think to move into any jobs for him, Ajay, but he wanted to just live by doing this part of Father's business. To some person, the Father's business is to be a scientist, or in so many things, the body of Christ, so many things. Not everyone is the eye or the ear. I was very blessed to hear from each one of them. Incredible testimonies, sharing, and how God's working in each one of them, 7 of them. Very enjoyable listening to them. They are joyful and sharing all these signs, wonders, miracles, and what God's doing, and prosperity, how they were, and now how prosperous God has got them to be. So, okay, this is what I want to share today. God bless you.